Hey there, Christian Walsh with Wire Associates. We are very excited to be bringing back a special guest, and that is Randi White with Spyglass Realty. She was our first live stream, and she's a great resource because she's going to tell us what is going on in the Austin real estate market. It's been about 6 months since I had Randi on, and I wanted to see what was going on, especially when I was seeing articles in the news that things aren't looking good for Austin. So I want to track other markets like Austin to see what things we should be looking for in Southern California and see if maybe it's going to spill over or maybe things aren't that bad in Austin. Randi's going to give us that insight. So a little bit of housekeeping. Number one is we've got Michelle watching here. She's going to help keep the comments clean. If you have any questions, make sure you put them in the chat below. We're going to bring those up later on. And we have another important point to make, and that is we can't give tax or legal advice. We never know what a discussion is going to take us. We might be talking about property taxes, income taxes, who knows, as well as landlord-tenant law, but we can't give tax or legal advice. So make sure you subscribe and watch, but know that you need the appropriate professional. All right, so let's bring Randi in. Randi, there you are. How are
Hi,
you? How have you
I'm
been?
good. Thank you for having me back on your show. I really enjoyed it the first time, so it's good to be here. Thanks.
We did too. We did too. And I always compliment you on your amazing setup. And it looks like the cactus is brand new. Tell us about the
Yes,
cactus.
that is a fantastic art piece created by myself and my children while trying to kill some time over the summer. So
I
thanks.
love it. Well, and speaking of that, your kids are at home, I know.
Yeah.
My kids are at home. So who knows? We might get some special guests that we don't intend.
Random noises, me
Yeah.
doing this, so it all can
Exactly.
happen
The
anytime.
mean face, exactly, the mean face. So yeah, and then another big thing I have to announce, it is actually my son Liam. It is his birthday. He's 13 today. He's officially a
Ooh.
teenager.
Oh
So
my gosh,
happy birthday
happy
to Liam.
birthday, Liam. And that's such a big one too. That's so
It
exciting.
is, it is. He's still a bad kid, but I love him anyway. No, he's not. No, he's not. All right, so let's
I
dive
mean,
in.
at 13, they're all kind of bad, right? So
Well, that's
that's
it.
okay, Liam.
We remember. We remember. So let's dive in. So, like I said, number one, you are our first guest, but and you were an amazing first guest. But the other thing that I was inspired to bring you back because I saw this article, and assuming I don't screw this up, I'm always having tech difficulties here. Here we go. Michelle, if I mess it up, you can help. So this article I saw on Realtor.com, and it was talking about various markets where prices were soaring, but it was talking about prices falling. And we did notice that here in Orange County, particularly in April, in Southern California in general, April, we had a year over year drop in the median home
Mhm.
price. And according to this article, Texas also had a drop in median home price year over year. It's not surprising on some because a year over April and May data, that's when interest rates in 2022 started to go through the roof. But I want to get your feedback on this, Randi, and I'll show some other detail. I'll just pull up the Altos research data. So if you can let us know, what is it like right now in Austin, Texas? What are open houses like? What is the market like?
Yeah, so we certainly did do a year over year drop. And I think the highest point, the peak, was ending up being a 25% drop from our peak to our trough. We hit
Okay.
that trough somewhere around maybe February to early March, where the prices were just free falling. And that was honestly well received. I liked that being a real estate professional here in my town. The prices were too high. The town was unaffordable.
Yeah.
So I was happy to have that relief as far as the home prices needing to come down. And then the kind of seasonal spring market trickled in March. It was a slow trickle compared to years past, but it helped kind of stop that free fall. I was honestly ready for more. I felt like we could have used some more drops in our average prices. But so our month over month, starting at about March, started to go up and at a healthy, balanced rate,
Right.
which is really following seasonality. and following a balanced market versus what we were doing in 2021 and 2022, where it was just shooting off. We weren't having that. We were just going up because it's simply springtime and there's shoppers in the world. And then I would say around summertime, it really started to kick into gear. I think people kind of realized, you know what, these interest rates are here to stay. I'm prepared for that. There are plans in place of how to address that. So both the rental market and the purchase market really kicked into an even bigger gear starting in that summertime.
So when do you feel your summer market starts? I know there's slight variations because it depends on when kids start to get out of school.
Yeah.
In our area, it's around about now, I would say summer has officially started. Most kids are out of school. What
So
about
for
you
us,
guys?
yeah, for us, that kind of pressure that I was describing, where it was a noticeable change, that actually came in for us about a month ago.
Okay.
School lets out in the last week of May for most of the districts in the Austin area. So everybody kind of takes a week to enjoy summer and get, settled in. And then things started to really pick up. I mean, I felt like I had some lease clients where the applications are kind of slipping through our fingers. We kept submitting and being like, nope, we've already accepted an application, and they had been on the market though for 1, 2 months before that, 3 months, and now suddenly there's like a rush to get everything turned in.
Hmm.
So it started about a month ago for that summertime. And then the spring market typically kicks up late February, early March, but that was a very light spring market for us. We were happy to have it because, like I said, we were free falling before then.
Yeah.
Um,
Anything
so,
other than a free
but it started
fall.
around that time.
And then we'll go back to the sale prices and things like that. But I'm glad you're bringing up the rental market. So, what are you guys seeing for your rental rates? For us, it was definitely year over year, rental rates kept going up. But we're finding now a little bit of a softening, which, again, like you said about prices for sales for homes, that's not a bad thing. So, what are you seeing in rental rates?
Yeah, so rental rates are an interesting discussion for us because there's two forces that apply to that. First, of course, is demand. And so we all of us had to have this big adjustment as far as people are not going to be we had our free falling of both rental prices and purchase prices this past year. However, there's this problem with our property taxes, which we did discuss in that first live stream with each other in
Hmm.
January, that landlords need to cover some pretty extreme mortgage payments or property tax payments with their increased rents. And so those are going to continue to rise. And the market was not responding very well to that. And there were lease homes sitting for months and months, like I described, throughout that springtime. But then when the summer came, they started to drop like flies. They were getting snatched up, applications are getting turned in. I myself actually just had a lease listing go live today. We have 5 showings. I have one application already turned in.
That's great.
But it kind of falls in line with the same idea that for the purchase for sale homes really need to be priced appropriately. So some people really like to get out there and price high and see what they can get for it by doing that. And people are just not in the mood for that at this time. They're not going to overspend. Inflation is hard. Interest rates are hard for purchases. And so you need to realize that everybody is cost conscious. But if you just get it in that sweet spot of really what it should be going for and maybe going slightly under, there's a very long line of people ready to snatch it up. It's the demand is here. We're just pinching our pennies.
Well, that's exactly, and there's no downside to that strategy of pricing like that because you'll get multiple offers, and then you'll be
Mhm.
able to choose from applicants if you're doing a lease, or
Yes.
choose
Oh
from
my gosh.
purchasers if you're selling a property. So, and then a quick reminder before I dive into some of the data here on Austin, but as you mentioned, property taxes in Texas versus California. So California, we have Prop 13, which essentially locks your property tax rate based on the price you pay when you acquire it, and it can
So
only go up
wonderful.
2%. But in Texas, it is not the same. It adjusts annually. Is that correct? You want to dive into that?
That is correct. So for a homeowner, you're going to be able to apply your homestead exemption, which is going to allow you to have a 10% cap on your appraised value every year.
Okay.
And it also allows you at this time to take out 40,000 from being a taxable value. That amount is going to go up after legislation that passed this past May. But if you're an investor and you hold a rental property, you are not going to have any of those protections. And so if
Wow.
you receive a 40 to 50% increase in your appraised value, you will receive a 40 to 50% increase on your property taxes.
Wow, that's crazy. And that's, I would imagine that a lot of, as you mentioned, that there was the free fall in pricing. I would imagine that people were attempting to get reassessed. How easy is that process for a reassessment?
It really depends on what type of person you are. Do you want to do it yourself? And do you feel confident that you can get the right comps and submit that and do all the rigmarole with the county appraisal district? Or do you want to just hire the couple of companies that are out there and allow them to take their chunk? So it's important to realize that if you just purchased your house, while Texas is a non disclosure state, which means that nobody should have the information of how much you paid for your property,
Interesting.
um, they still did. I purchased my property recently, and they
Congrats. That's
thank
awesome.
you, thank you. So this was in 2021 when I purchased, and so then
Nice.
I got my appraisal notice, and I said, "Hey, I want to protest, and here's why I think that." And then they said, "Oh, it doesn't matter what you say because we know how much you paid for your house." And I'm like, "Well, you're not supposed to know that. It's a non-disclosure state." And they said, "That's not our problem. You can take that up with somebody else. We're
Yeah.
just here to handle protests." So that was very frustrating. So if you just purchase your property, they will know how much you pay, even though they're not supposed to know that. I
That's awesome.
definitely always advise you to protest every single year and to keep your appraised value down as much as possible. So it's always worth it. And I
Yeah.
think it's worth it to go ahead and just let the big dogs handle. I went ahead and hired a company this year. I submitted my one sheet and they said, we'll take it from here versus kind of the very frustrating experience that I went through trying to do it myself. But I know that there's a lot of people out there that really swear by handling it yourself and getting to keep that fee that otherwise the companies would charge you.
What's a rough approximation on that fee?
They're going to keep about usually about 20% of the savings that you
Okay.
get.
See,
So,
that's
it's a pretty big chunk, but I just trust at this time that they're going to do a better job with just so much at stake.
yeah.
I just want somebody who does it all the time to give it the best shot. So,
So that's right there. That's fascinating. That's an entire industry that exists
oh
in
yeah.
Texas that does not exist here because of the difference in property taxes. So no, that's fascinating. I'll probably want to circle back on that at some point. Our next live, we'll talk more about that because I love that topic. So what I've got here, I've got the Altos research data. What's cool about Altos research? I know you know Altos research as well, Randy. I basically have an account for all of Southern California, but you can literally type any city or zip code in
Mhm.
and you're able to pull it up. So I pulled up Austin, Texas, and here, this. Let's see if you can give us some guidance. It would help if I spelled it correctly. Austin, Texas. So there's a bunch of different choices. Can you see that, Randy, on there or no?
I can. Yeah, it looks like you're going through all the different zip codes.
So is there any zip code you would say is most representative of Austin, or should I just? I guess I could just go with Austin in
I
general.
think just go with Austin because there's actually many zip codes inside the city of Austin itself. And so you would be really kind of niching down if you chose just one zip code.
Yeah, that's well, and that's what I've been doing occasionally is comparing Austin, Texas data to Orange County data, which is not really fair. That's a county versus a city, so and
Orange
that's what
County is
happens.
huge.
Yeah, although LA is massive. LA's got like 3 or 4 million properties. All right, so in Austin, so quick look here at the market action index. So we can see that the market action index went down slightly. It's still considered a seller's market.
Hmm.
Sellers have a slight advantage, but to your point, they're going to have to price correctly
Yeah.
or they're not going to have that seller's advantage. One thing I found interesting, and we're not seeing this in Orange County, we're still at record low inventory. I do see that things have ticked up for you guys there, and the circles represent year over year. So right now, you are at 2018 levels of inventory approximately. So that's something interesting that's going on. And then if we look here in the market segments, this is another one that I've found very helpful to look at. So this is breaks it down into the 25% of basically 4 quartiles. That's what quartile means. And then it's the market broken down into four, and it shows the median price. So there's 2.25 is the median price for the top quartile. So there's definitely expensive homes in your
Yeah.
neck of the woods. Your cheapest median home price, and this is for houses, and this is all of Austin, is about 475. So we can see days on market. It's logical that the least expensive homes move the quickest. They're moving at about 35 days. But
Hmm.
even the top of the market's 56 days. That's better
Hmm.
than our top of the market. The other quick thing to look at here is the new inventory versus absorbed. So new inventory at the top, 57 in the last week. This is based on the week. And but absorbed are 67. So the top of your market is actually absorbing more inventory. It's moving, which is good to
Hmm.
see. But what's interesting, the three bottom quartiles, 91 new, 60 absorbed, 89 new, 67 absorbed, 113 new at the bottom, 88 absorbed. So what that means is it's going to lead to inventory starting to build up even more, which is what we're seeing up here. So back to you. I want your opinion on that. And then again, I think the obvious thing is you just got to price right. But what are your thoughts? Are you seeing more opportunities out there for your clients that are looking?
So, yeah, the first thing I like to do when a buyer sends me a property is I do a really quick CMA on it. Not a full, 15-page CMA, but a very quick one because I want to get an idea of how did the listing age, what was the pricing strategy for this listing? Because if it's priced slightly under what I'm showing the average to be, then I know we need to go see it today because it's going to probably get some multiple offers and be done over the weekend. And then if it's priced slightly over, then I know that we most likely have some time and that this person is, going a different direction with that. And then when it comes to the inventory being at 2018 levels, I actually wanted to ask, do you by chance recall what your lowest inventory level was in Orange County whenever we were doing the craziness of 2021 and 2022?
I'm going to show you. That's a great question. So here, let's show you. So this is, here's our inventory. Let's see, you guys can see it. I got it up, right? Nope, I don't have it up. Here we go. Technical difficulties. So here's our inventory levels. And you can see that this is all of Orange County. We have about half the properties you have in Austin, Texas available right
Hmm.
now for our
Hmm.
entire county. The absolute lowest was January of 2022. But you could see that, again, the circles are the year over year. So we are below where we were in 2021. And it's a huge drop from where we were in 2018.
Okay.
So but that's been the trend in all of Southern California. That's the trend. We haven't recovered. Our inventory levels haven't recovered
Yeah.
yet. They were starting to go up and we are all starting to get a little nervous,
Yes.
and then they dropped again. And that's where we are, where right now it's a fight, particularly in certain price points. It's an absolute fight
I
for.
would say so us matching our 2018 inventory levels to me is a great place to be because
Okay.
it was still a healthy seller's market where the sellers are going to get their value back out of their home when selling. Having some healthy competition, maybe one offer up to maybe three or four offers, but nothing crazy like 10 or 15 offers.
Yeah.
And then at the peak of everything, when we were having way too much demand, our inventory levels dropped down to the lowest at like 0.23 months. So to have an incline from there is like much needed. So,
Yeah.
and I really like the place that we're at. And so some local data crunchers that I follow in Austin all have the same similar reaction and feel of we're just doing a very balanced experience where sellers can do good work on their property. You need to make it look good and put some effort into it.
Clean is key
Yeah,
too.
clean, fresh. Don't be crazy with your pricing. And then the buyers are able to actually submit and not overpay and have options to pay down the interest rate, whether they use the seller with concessions or not. There's just options for both sides. And so to hear the news describing Austin as having kind of a catastrophic real estate experience is very inaccurate to me. I do think that when you compare us to what we were doing a year ago, then yes, that experience, we are very different from having the 25 to 40 offers on a house and having the home go for 150, 175 over the list price. We're definitely very far away from that. We did do a very huge price drop from that, but it was necessary and it was needed. Austin is very unaffordable. Even still today, we did our 20% drop, could have gone more. Especially when you compare it to the rest of the state of Texas. It's just so far off from being affordable compared to the rest of our towns. And we actually get lumped into some kind of West Coast tech cities like San Francisco and the Bay Area as they're experiencing kind of similar issues, or the news is reporting them to be experiencing those same issues. I
Well
don't
said. Well
personally
said.
know.
Yeah. Well,
But it's because these are very tech related cities. There's a lot of tech related news going on as far as layoffs or what's going on with, can you remote work anymore or can you not? And so lots of confusion and chaos going on in those industries. Austin does have a tiny growing tech industry happening inside of the city, but it's not to the extent of the Bay Area. So my message to people wondering about how this real estate market is doing is that it's, if you're coming to move here and you're going to purchase, you need to be prepared for it to be slightly competitive,
mhm.
slightly unaffordable still. But there's opportunities if you have a good head on your shoulders about what you're looking for and you're ready to go with a good lender and a good realtor. There's opportunities to be had in there with some strategic contract writing to make sure that both sides come out as winners, which is what the world should be like anyway.
Well, so Randy, what you're saying, if I can summarize, it's basically a return to a more normal market,
Yeah.
and that's boring. This is not gonna we're
No,
not
no,
gonna get
I
we're
will
not
tell
gonna get a
you.
million views on this because we're not walking around showing the entire city on fire and like Mad Max. This is the problem. We're giving you actual boots
I
in the street,
know.
people really doing deals, and
Yeah,
it's a more normal market. But
it's a
that's
normal market, and we're so excited and happy to have it, so
yeah, no, that's there's nothing wrong with normal. It just doesn't get the clicks, so nobody's going to watch this. So the other thing you mentioned, the 20% drop, and another thing I track in our local market is foreclosure, notice of default, etc. Are you seeing, so the folks maybe who bought at the peak, is there any risk? A 20% drop is huge. There is an increase potentially in unemployment and in some of the tech sectors. Are you seeing an increase in the number of foreclosures? Do you expect?
at this time, that is not something we really seem to be experiencing here in our market. We have a median income of about 110,000, and that's going to be for the greater Austin area. So not just the city of Austin, but also the five county area. So Round Rock and Cedar Park and Kyle and Buda. So lots of suburb incomes being placed into that, and we're still at 110, which I know sounds very feeble to Californian incomes, but in
People.
Texas, it's pretty good.
That's
so,
very good. It's very good. People work hard to
um,
earn that. So
so we see, and then our job market is actually still very strong here as well. So it's a healthy, stable place. And at this time, knock on wood, we don't have a foreclosure market entering in, and I'm so thankful for that. And I wish for that to be the case throughout the U.S. as we all kind of bite our nails about what's coming down the chute next. So
yeah, I agree with you, and that's what's it's easy to get all wrapped up in saying, "Oh boy, I want a deal on a foreclosure," but you can't forget that a deal on a foreclosure is someone losing their home. So
yes,
it's I think it is
yeah.
it is important to remember that. The other side of it is that just as the market is returning to normal in your neck of the woods for sales, there is a normal number of foreclosures in any given market. And I've noticed here that we're actually still below the normal levels of foreclosure. And my guess is if we ran the numbers, you guys would be at or just below the normal levels. So not a huge
I think so too,
flood.
because there's just so many options for people right now. They're going to have some high equity, even with that 20% drop.
Yeah,
It's still higher than it was, in 2018, 2019, significantly. So there's equity. There's an assumable interest rate that people might be interested in if you have the FHA loan
good
on the
point.
property. And so
Yeah.
there's several options to go to before you need to get through the short sale or foreclosure option. So that's why I feel that we're still in that space for our town and for most towns.
100%. Even if you bought at or near the peak and unfortunately you lose your job, there's there's still ways to get out of it. Like you said, an assumable FHA loan.
Hmm.
Lenders are more flexible these days. So
Yes. Yeah.
it's it's not like it was during the global financial crisis.
Such a
There,
different problem then. Yeah,
yeah,
it's the two very different worlds, and it's very interesting watching this new one play out, and how many more new intricacies there are to it compared to what was going on back there. Just very different scenarios.
yeah, no, I appreciate getting your feedback on that. So I know we're getting close. We've been here almost 30 minutes already. This flies whenever we chat.
That was fast.
So I would like predictions on where you think your market's headed for the rest of the year. I know it's
Mhm.
just a guess, nobody knows, but where do you think things are headed in Austin?
So there was a really interesting discussion happening within the Realtor Network just this morning, because we have this local data cruncher that we like to follow, and he was talking about that the demand here in Austin is strong and it's steady, and so it's giving us this kind of balanced feel. And so while the inventory does seem to kind of creep up, maybe we're going to sort of close down on our summer season here soon. The interest rates might, we're going to have possibly another rate hike with the Fed, which could trickle down to more news for the mortgage rates. What does that mean for our housing market? And we feel that the stability that we have been experiencing throughout late spring and into this early summer is going to kind of open up into the thriving real estate market that Austin has really known for about the past decade or more. We've always been a very competitive market. We have a lot of job opportunities still coming here, people needing to move here for different reasons. And so, whether it's the crash versus thrive, we feel that we're going to be opening back up into the standard status quo for Austin of it's competitive, and you need to be ready to kind of play ball if you're trying to purchase here. So that's what we feel.
I
But
love
you
it.
never know what will come for those interest rates. So,
Well, exactly. That's a surprise. I mean, could you imagine though if interest rates get back down close to five, like floodgates
oh,
would open? By
it's
the way,
like I'm so like, of course I want that for so many reasons, but I don't. I don't
yeah,
want the home prices to get insane. We still have a problem to solve when it comes to affordability. So
exactly. That's definitely another discussion we need to have at some point. Well, you've been amazing. Remember, Randy White was Spyglass. Easy for me to say. Randy White, Spyglass Realty. We've had her info across the bottom. So if you're interested in learning more about Texas market, Austin in particular, Randy is a great resource. She can definitely help you out. I will have her back on in the not too distant future. Love these updates
ooh,
from you, and enjoy the rest of your summer, Randy. I know you went camping with the family.
I
How was
did.
that?
We
Good time.
had we had to leave early because we're in the middle of one of the biggest heat waves we've ever
Oh
seen.
no, heat waves. Don't forget Texas.
We left 2 days early, but I do have, like, the kids trickling up and down the stairs right in front of me in swimsuits because 'cause we're about to go paddle boarding.
Go,
So
go enjoy the pool.
exciting.
Great to have you on. Thank you so much. And make sure you guys reach out. And if you need Randy's info, reach out to us. We'll get it to you. But thanks again, Randy. Really appreciate it.
Thanks for
Have a,
having me on. I'll see you
yeah,
next time.
for sure. Take care.